All right. So, in exactly a minute, or I mean, to those that are just joining in, welcome. Ridwan and Pamilerin already introduced themselves, and basically, what we are doing today is just a mock interview. Ridwan will be the interviewer, and Pamilerin is the interviewee. So, like I said, get pen and paper. Pamilerin, I expect your video to be on. But anyways, in fact, I didn't even need to tell you. It's part of your interview. So Pamela will be the interviewee, Ridwan will be the interviewer, and you can also get pen and paper to note down one or two things you learn. If you have questions, you can also use the chat section to drop your questions so that the interviewer would possibly, look into them after he's done interviewing. This interview can possibly last for, I don't know, at most 30 minutes is enough. So we don't, so at most 30 minutes, and then we can then review and give critical feedback about how the session goes. All right, so over to you, Ridwan and Pamilerin.
Okay, just a moment. I need to turn the screen. Okay, hi. Pamela, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon. Okay, firstly, you from my mark, right? You have -1 already because when you have an interview, you're expected to have a video on. So, let's get into it. Can I meet you, please?
All right, good afternoon. My name is Pamilerin Fanawopo. Currently, I'm an intern at Testify Limited. I studied industrial chemistry for my BSc, and shortly afterwards, I worked at a bank for about 3 years as a service rep. And it was while I was at the bank that I got interested in tech, and I did my research. And at the end of the research, I picked software QA, and I've been an intern and at Testify Limited, working as a junior software tester, basically.
Okay.
And I look forward to being a senior software tester and also writing my school as a tester. That's why I'm here.
Okay. So can you guide me through your QA life, your white testing? Why did you choose to be a tester? From your background, why did you choose to be a tester?
All right, testing for me as it didn't just start, or quality assurance didn't just start as a tester. For my undergraduate days, I studied industrial chemistry, and it was my major was quality assurance. So I already always had a thing for quality, always had a thing for um, using or making sure that whatever it is at its best. So basically, it wasn't so difficult for me to decide on software testing based on the background I had or I have as a quality assurance specialist
Okay.
as a chemist.
Okay. So I can see you have quite a lot of experience, and you said you are an intern. So I would be asking you some things I came across on your CV. So, firstly, I would like to ask you. Okay, just a moment, please. So, I would like to ask you, what are the components of a test plan?
Okay, so in the test plan, you have the scope, you have the objectives, you have the deliverables, you have the test plan also has the time frame at which you would complete the test. Then it also has the resources, and resources in terms of persons, the personnel, and the exact work they put into making the project work. Basically, so that's some of the things in the test plan document.
Won't your test plan contain the technology to be used and choice of tools?
Yes, it will. It will contain trace of tools to be used. Sorry, I didn't mention that.
Okay, no problem. So, have you been on a project before now?
Yes, I've been on quite a number of projects before now.
Okay, guide me through your process.
Okay, so when we have a project, it starts from sprint planning. Like that's where you or the project is started by sprint planning. That's where we get to mostly done by the project manager. Just intimates us about what the test is going to be about. Then how long are we going to like? Are we supposed to do the test for? Like how long would it take for us to um submit the deliverable, so to say. And that's like the first step. Then we go to the requirement analysis where all the requirements that would be needed in course of the testing is listed out. Then afterwards, we have the test plan, like I mentioned earlier. So work on the test plan, and this is a very how do I put it now? A very compact document that contains most of the things that all of the things, not even almost all of the things, all of the processes, all of the personnel and every other thing. Like I said, the tools too for the um project. Then we move on to that. Then we develop the test cases, test case documentation. We write the scenarios on the project. Then afterwards, the test is executed based on the test plan and the test case documents that have been provided earlier. Then afterwards, the test is closed. So basically,
So, what
that's
did you mention just now?
that the test is closed. Like the cycle is closed after the test plan. Then oh sorry, I missed out a step. Then there's the test environment setup. We test environment setup is like the environment, an Android phone, iOS phone kind of system, just to know the kind of environment we create, in which the test will be carried out.
Okay,
Then the test is
okay. So, after your test environment setup, you close the test. How about your test execution?
mentioned that I skipped test environment setup in what I was saying. After the environment setup, we execute the testing. Sorry, I skipped test environment setup. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, can you guide me through what bug life cycle is?
Okay, so bug life cycle when a bug is found or detected, it is it is like a new bug. Then it is assigned to the developer, or it is after the bug is detected, it is open. Then it is the project manager confirms if it is valid to be checked. It could be that it's repetitive, like somebody has found it before. So it is um, after it is open, it is passed to the developer to work on it. It is assigned to the developer, and developer fixes it. After it is fixed, or after the developer says it's fixed, there's a retest. The QA retests it to be sure that it's really working. Then afterwards, after it is verified that it is fixed, then it's closed. That's what I can say about it.
Okay, so if what do you understand by what do you understand by what's it called? What do you understand by regression? What do you understand by retesting?
Okay, so regression is after the oh sorry, regression is testing the software to be sure that all the defects that were fixed earlier didn't affect any other feature. Basically, that's what regression testing is about. Testing after a defect has been fixed to be sure that whatever it is that was being fixed didn't affect um, any other feature. Then retesting is sorry, I said regression testing. Retesting is after the software is being built, when the test is working. Sorry, let me see.
Okay, so in your, I see you can use Selenium WebDriver. What is the difference between implicit wait and explicit wait?
This wait and explicit wait.
Yeah.
I would, at the moment, I would say that I don't know what that is, but then I will definitely check it up
Okay.
after this interview.
So okay, let us go into. Have you ever heard of boundary value analysis?
Boundary value analysis. Not it. No.
Okay.
I have heard, but I haven't.
Okay. So Postman. You use Postman, right?
Yes.
Okay. What does code 3.1 means? No idea.
Code 3.1, yeah, no idea of what code 3.1 is.
Okay. What of 405?
405 unauthorized. I
No.
think so.
Unauthorized is 401.
401,
Okay.
okay.
Have you ever done any automation around Postman before?
Automation around Postman.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes, I've run quite a number of tests on Postman.
Okay. Okay. On Postman now, okay, you have to, okay. What do you understand by an environmental variable?
The meaning,
Yeah, what do you understand by environmental variable?
not
Okay,
right, right.
okay,
The physical.
let me step a bit backward. What do you understand by
Okay.
variable?
I might not be able to define
Okay.
local environment.
Okay, so okay, let's move to another thing entirely. So on your Jira board, right?
Okay.
On your Jira board, a ticket has been assigned to you, and you found a bug, right? When you found the bug, when you found the bug, you how do you raise a bug on a ticket? How do you raise a bug on a ticket? Let's start with that.
Okay, so when the bug is found, we walk the developer through how we can reproduce
How
the
do you do
step.
that? Do you call the person? What do you
No,
do?
no, no, no. You would, there's a space or a column where you can type. So step by step, you list out how the bug can be reproduced, how they can like the steps. Then afterwards, you attach a screenshot or a video or something to as an evidence. Then you attach a document. Then visit.
Okay. Though I'm not quite convinced with your answer, but I'll ask you, what do you understand by test case document?
Yeah, test case
Okay, I'll
document.
ask you two questions. What
Okay.
do you understand by test case document, and what do you understand by test scenario?
Okay. Let me go for the test case first. The test case document is a document that contains um, the 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 scenarios that will be tested for. Basically, it's a table that has the what the actual result, the expected result, has steps to really test, like that contains the scenario basically of what you want to test, of what you're going to test.
So what is test scenario?
Can't remember that right now.
Okay. Uh, have you used any tool before now to write your test cases?
Yes.
Which tool?
For now, Google Sheets is being used, and I know that you can use Jira.
Okay. uh, Selenium WebDriver. Yeah, I think I've asked question around that, and Postman. Do you know how to? Uh, I wanted to ask some questions around. Okay, what is status 200?
200, okay.
201?
Authorized.
201 is not authorized. 201 is created. So
Okay. So,
I'm looking at your. You could write. So if you are to rate yourself between 1 to 10, what is your MySQL? Uh, where do you rate yourself on MySQL?
if I was to rate myself as I now, my SQL, oh, I would say a 4.
A 4. So in databases, there's always one word that keeps flying up and down. It's called crude. What does crude means?
Crude.
Crude. CRUD.
I think create.
Mary, mute yourself, please.
I really want to share it.
Mary, please mute yourself. And she'll be
Hello?
agreeing.
Mary, can you please mute yourself?
What I'm doing with that one. That's what.
Hi.
Go on.
Madam,
Okay,
mute
so
yourself now.
code, it means
Are you buying meat in the market?
says
You're
create,
affected.
then read, then update and delete.
Okay, so now, right, I'll give you an imaginary scenario, and I want you to write a query to. So you have a table that contains a lot of employees, right? You have a column called the first name. So you have a table called employee names. you have a table called employee dates. What can I use to link two tables together that I'm sure the person I'm pointing in employee names is the same as the person I'm pointing in employee table. Given that on the employees table, on the employee ages table, right, I do not have the name of the employee. Oh, okay, no, don't let me use that. I have a table. Let me use a more elaborate one. I have a table that has employees details, and I have a table called employee salary. So I want you to select uh read one on employees details table, right? Select all my details, and I want you to match my salary in the result that is coming out. So there's a table called employee details that contains the name and all data concerning a user. And I want you to link it with a table called employee salary. Given that the employee ID of Ridwan is 15, so I want you to write a query that would show me everything inside what's it called? Ridwan's details on employee table and give me his corresponding salary. Did you get my question?
No, I'm supposed to create a table. No, I didn't get the question.
No, you are not creating. You have two tables. Okay. Now
Okay.
let me ask you to select all. You have a table called employee details. The table have four columns: employee ID, employee first name, employee name, which is first name, last name, employee address, and employee date of birth. Four columns. Employee ID, employee name, employee date of birth, and employee address. Four. And you have another table standing on its own called employee salary. Under employee salary, it has two columns called employee ID and salary amount. So I want you to run a select that will show me the details of read one, show me his first name, his last name, his employee ID, his date of birth, and also his salary. Just display these records at a stretch. So your query will give me five columns: employee ID, first name, employee name, the what's it called, the date of birth, the address, and the salary. So five records. Uh, no idea.
Not exactly.
Okay. Give me ingredients of a good test case document.
It says case document.
Yeah, ingredients
So
of
it's
a good
supposed to
test case
have,
document.
it says case document is supposed to have um, the the first column is supposed to be the serial number, then the suite ID, then the test case description, then it's supposed to have the test data, then have the expected results, the actual results, then if it passes or it fails, then the name and the date it was carried out.
Where is the
Then
step?
afterwards, the document or the scenarios on the test case document are supposed to be displayed in either pie chart or to like a graphical representation of
On the report
Do
what's
you at any point need prerequisite data?
or steps background.
prerequisite data.
Yeah. yeah, prerequisite before you could run your tests.
Mm, no.
Okay.
Yes.
So I would ask a question now, and the question goes thus: Do you know what they call acceptance criteria?
Acceptance criteria.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I do.
Ah,
Okay. uh, what about entry criteria?
wow.
Okay. So I would ask. I'm actually. So you work in a team, right? And you have you 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 tested, right? And there were some issues, and these issues you've raised, you reported to your what's it called, to your product owner, your team lead, and they're like, ah, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, fully love it, you can go. So in that case, right, what do you do when they tell you you could go on, that it's not a blocker? What do you do?
If it's the developer saying that, I think would meet the program manager or the manager in charge
Okay.
and raise the issue with the manager in charge. Then, if at any point, if the manager doesn't feel there's a problem, then they might have to be like be a written agreement, something to show that it was pointed out in the first place, and the thing agree.
Okay, I would ask maybe one or two. So, okay, you mentioned something about sprint planning. What does
Yes.
sprint planning mean? Can you
Yeah,
can you educate me?
yeah, sprint planning is just is it's like a process before the whole testing starts, where the time for the deliverables to be carried out is specified, and the
Okay,
basic
let's
requirements, like things that should be known.
let me come down more. Do you understand what they call uh, software methodologies?
Software methodologies, like you mean the
Yeah.
life cycle?
Yeah, do you understand
Yes,
what software methodology is?
yes.
Okay, what does it? So can you? Okay, what do you mean by software methodology?
Yeah, I said you mean it like the software life cycle, right? Software development life cycle.
Yeah, so can you guide
Yeah, so
me through?
these are the processes that are uh, that are involved in the in like the beginning to the end of how the software is produced majorly. And we have some steps. We have the requirement analysis. We have the design. We have the development, and we have the testing, then the maintenance. Then we should everything.
Why do we even test? Why do we have to test?
We have to test to be sure that the software that is being produced meets some specified requirements and that it works according
What
to
if you're not given a requirement?
okay, if you're not given a requirement, you
What kind of
can
test is that?
that if you're not given a requirement for a test,
Okay, that's a black box. That's a black box test when you do not
a black
understand what you're testing.
thank you.
So, and during doing that, the process,
That's true.
so you could
So
now call it exploratory test. just running through. Okay, I think I would ask
Thank you.
one more and I'll call it a close. What do you understand by verification and validation?
Okay, so verification is process to ensure that the software meets the standard requirements. While validation is process to ensure that the software meets the customer's requirements. Basically.
Am I building the right product? Am I building the product right? Okay, that is for me. Leave the invisible mic to Ridwan there.
Thank you.
Hmm. I believe everybody on this session been Pamilerin, I don't know why your first thing is always to put off your video when your interviewer is even still here. I don't know where you're running to.
Sorry about that.
No, no, sorry for me. Oh. It's not even me. So, guys, I want us to use the chat section now to talk. First of all, thank you so much, Ridwan. That was an interview session, and I think that that's such like a very good intern or junior level interview, and nothing intensive for intermediate or a senior level. And every simple question he asked, I, I'm I have a lot of I have a lot of questions. From you skipping some things and saying you're sorry 5 million times. If I don't want to critics. Anyways, guys, let's use the chat session. I want to hear you guys comment. While you are doing that, read one. I know you have interviewed her. She has said what she can say, but we need a critique of her and whatever she did now, which I don't count as an interview, but give a critical feedback so she can work on it and be better.
Okay. Since wait, what are we interviewing her for? Was it a
Is it
junior role or a senior or a medium role or
is
a
a
senior role?
it's a junior role.
Okay. So for a junior role, I would to be sincere, I think I'll give you about a 6 to 7. So so my critic now goes thus, right? As a as a as an interviewer, right? I do not know you. The only thing I have that is speaking to my questions are what is on your CV. So, because when you said you do Selenium WebDriver, so I expected, okay, you have experience with Selenium, and none of those things we would always talk about because, okay, definitely we are not asking you for your hands-on, but okay, there are some rudiments, there are some things you do around, okay, implicit weight, explicit weight, fluent weight, and stuff like that. So that's where my question was coming from. Postman, you said you do Postman. One of the things you should be conversant with a lot is status codes, error, HTTP error codes. Like it should be flying on your brain. If you look at something, you should know this is 401, this is so those things should be flying. When I ask questions around Jira, from what I can see, from what I can perceive, you've not really had an hands-on experience on Jira. I asked questions around manual processes. There were some of them you did well. There were some of them that were a bit slacking. So for me, right, I I like when you are giving me meanings. Don't I really don't like I really do not like definitions. I really want to hear you paint a real scenario for me, right? So I'm asking you for a test case document. So Before, at some point I ask you what are the ingredients of a test case document. The point you are describing a test case document, tell me the things that should be there, things that should not even be lacking. Your test scenario. I ask questions around uh, entry criteria, exit criteria. So on your test case document, there's what we call prerequisites, things that should happen before a test would actually happen. Then I mentioned something around acceptance criteria. So as a tester, right, you do not test when there's no acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is your definition of done. Like if it doesn't meet this requirement, if 1, 2, 3 does not happen, I beg, junk, junk it. So that is what it means by an acceptance criteria. So this acceptance criteria is being set by a developer. So you could work in an organization where your developer, your project manager is not putting it. In my own organization, it has been given to us that as a QA, don't test any ticket that does not have acceptance criteria. Reject it back. Just send it back because that gives you the why you should test. What are you testing for? So if in your own thinking, oh, this thing should happen, it must happen. So those acceptance criteria tells you what is done and what is not done. So when you talk about your test plan, you tried, it shows that you had at one point or the other written a test plan. So around the test plan, right, you should be able to one of the major ingredients for test plan is that you must know the platform you are testing. You cannot be testing USSD and you are bringing tools for web UI. So your platform you are testing would is now synonymous to what testing tool you would be using to test. So one of those things you should mention is knowing the platform. And when I ask questions, you were saying something about sprint planning. So what one of the things you should understand is when we talk about software methodologies, we have the waterfall, we have the iterative method, we have the extreme programming, we have a whole lot of them, right? But now you in this scenario you are pointing, you are only pointing as if you know only agile. And because I do not want to start drilling into it more further, to start asking you some agile related questions because I know you would not be able to defend most of them. So when you talk about sprint planning, it is so I would say that agile methodology is not just a methodology, it's a way of life, right? It's a way, it's a guidebook guiding you to how to run your agile environment. So in this process, you were talking about sprint planning. Don't tell me sprints, don't tell me sprints. Just tell me you are doing requirement analysis, you are doing your test gathering. So in your test gathering, you are getting, so I mentioned, okay, I think I mentioned guide me your test process, right? So you are doing your requirement analysis. You are trying to understand what your business, your product owner is selling to you, right? In that process, it is not just you, it is the whole development team. The developers are there, the QA lead is there, everyone is there. So in that process, that is where you now start doing your test design. It's from there you know what are the things you need to, what kind of effort is needed. This thing we go need person wey sabi automation. Do you understand? So in that process, so when you now start from that test, when you talk of your test design, talk of your test design, talk of your environmental setup. There are other things that come up, but I do not want to just start asking because when you talk of test environmental setup, you now start talking something around you're doing a smoke test, confirming that every prerequisite installations that need to be done is there. So do not you are marrying test life cycle to agile. Don't don't uh don't combine them together. They are standing on their own. So when you talk of software development life cycle, then you can now say, okay, so and most at times, right, one of the things that we do we fusion both waterfall and scrum together. So because one of the things they could ask you is when you start talking a lot of sprints, sprint this and that, start asking you questions around. Tell me different ceremonies in agile. So and you are not interviewing yourself as a scrum master. Somebody start asking you. So in that, now start talking of we do daily stand up, we do sprint planning, sprint retrospect, all of those things you are giving. So in an interview, the way it works most times, it's more like taking the art of boxing. When you are boxing, right, you are boxing and you are also forming a form of defense. So in forming of your defense is for you not to receive blow, and you're going out, you are trying to punch someone. So so when you are talking a lot of things that you are not quite sure of, you are opening your hands for more blows. So the person will keep digging in. And because it was more of a demo, I couldn't start digging in to ask because you were giving me a whole lot of punchlines to give you much more hits. So you wouldn't be able to take, which you wouldn't be able to take. Although I asked a whole lot of questions in between, but they were just to one, most times, right, you should be able to you could grade your skill sets. Some people do that. They grade their skill set to say in this part I'm a beginner. I have little knowledge of this thing, so that I wouldn't be asking you questions on those things that ordinarily your CV have told me that I am a beginner. I just have idea. So one of the things in my SQL is a very simple thing. You are doing a select statement. I have given you two tables. You are bringing table A and table B. Definitely something. One of the questions I was trying to ask you was question around key and ID. So an ID in your primary table, which is the employee details, there's a primary key there and there's a foreign key. So the primary key, which is employee ID on the employee details, is a primary key, is a foreign key to employee salary table. So now I'm saying select read one with employee ID 15. So when you are saying employee ID 15, so when you go to employee salary, that means there's a 15 there. And I'm saying, okay, so when you are doing this, you are trying to combine two tables together. That means I'm asking you to do select employee ID, employee name, employee address, employee date of birth on employee details, right? Join it where employee ID in A, employee ID in A equals to employee ID in B. So this is more of a, I will not even start asking questions around left outer join, right outer join, or whatsoever kind of join. So these are just basics. At least you tried, you told me, okay, crude is create, read. So I would take a pause at this point so we could have some other questions.
All
So let me
right.
look at that section.
The chat section, people have just been giving so many comments, wonderful comments, giving Pamilerin feedbacks on what she should take note of. Someone from YouTube also commented, as Olaide Sanusi said, he said some couple of things. One of the things he
Are you
said
on
is,
YouTube?
yeah, we are live on YouTube as well. That's where we are streaming live too. Pamela, we can see your mouth open. So Alaide said, as an observer, it would be great to bring a bit of character or attitude to the way she responds. It's not enough to know the answer. other soft skills are being evaluated too. Also give examples. He also mentioned that give examples to back your answers. It shows you know what you are talking about. Don't be too quiet if you don't know the answer. You can be upfront and say you will learn more on the topic. And I mean, I just thought to read that out because some of you are not on YouTube. So, but other comments are also there in the from the Google Meets. We have comment like it shows she has not really okay. Ridwan was really thorough, hot seat and everything. Tomiwa said it shows she has not really have an hands-on job. Sultan says the session is actually interesting, but she needs more confidence because I'm sure she knows some of the answers she skipped in my view. Sultan also said this interview also showed you should be able to defend your CV. Festa says she tries, but she needs to show more confidence when answering question. Michael said, well done. And to our candidate, getting the basic knowledge will make you pass and bringing them into reality or real scenarios. Scenarios and examples should be a better way to answer questions. Sultan Isa says some examples should help pinpoint and drive your answers home. Ami says, well done. Please, you need to improve on your level of confidence. So some people said probably she might think prerequisite is precondition, but you should know that precondition is also same as prerequisite. Acceptance criteria can be found in user stories. And Michael wrote, don't accept any project that does not have acceptance criteria. I'm taking those home. Fisaya said, I'm not really sure what acceptance criteria is. That was before you answered the question, but you already answered it. And Mary also said, acceptance criteria tells you what you should expect when you perform a particular operations. Tomiwa said, for every user stories or ticket on your Jira board, there are some requirements that are written by the product manager, owner, service owner that must be met. This will be your guide to know the scope of your test. Mary said, e.g., login in operation. If I answer a correct username or password, 1, I should be successfully logged into the account. 2, my name should be displayed. 3, I should be directed to the dashboard. They're just trying to give you an example of what acceptance criteria is. Festus says, acceptance criteria is like as a X, I want to do Y so that I can achieve Z. Fisher said, oh, wow, thanks. That means I didn't realize that's what it was called. Then I told you guys you have 3 minutes left. Then Tomiwa said, just to learn more about the join keywords in SQL, I would have missed crude. I'm not exposed to it, just learned the short form. All right, so thank you. That was such a very wonderful, good interview session. Just a prep. Tomorrow it can be any of you on this call. You're giving comments today, it's fitting you. Tomorrow when you're on the hot seat, I hope it will sit you like this as well. And yes, Ridwan did a very fantastic job. And to Pamilerin, I feel everybody have said a lot. Particularly for me, it was the character part. I mean, I always go back to the soft skill part. The way you answer question, the attitude to it. I felt you're not really taking it so serious because you were laughing, you were distracted, you were making some gestures that if I'm a recruiter, personally for me, in 10 minutes in this interview, I would have made my decisions and I would have ended it. But we have different interviewers. The goal for me in every interview, whether I'm interviewing someone or someone is interviewing me, that within 10 minutes, the person should be able to decide if they want me or not. Within 10 minutes in that interview, you should be able to know if you have impressed the interviewer or if they won't call you back. So for me, within your 10 minutes, I was already off with the way you answer question, with you were not so sure with all of those gesture for me is a distraction. So basically that's just it from me. So can Ridwan tell us what crude is all about? Okay, Ridwan, you can go ahead. Guys, we have another live session by 4 p.m. So Ridwan, you can go ahead.
Okay, so so on your CV, right? Let me just because I hold a whole lot of people. Unfortunately, I've not been able to have that section, but I just felt this was part of it, anyways. So, firstly, things you need to take out of your CV. Security issues around the world. Do not put your house address.
Wow,
Date
the
of
same thing
birth.
we did
If
last
you are
week.
not applying to a bank that
Okay.
is giving you date restriction limits, you do not need to put your date of birth. Your LinkedIn profile, there's no link there. So you expect me to by myself start copying this thing. and around that part, I can see your font is climbing Okebado. So
I've,
it was just small before, then they started going upward. So do not put your house address. Please, not it is for security reasons. And
alright,
your LinkedIn profile, let it be an hyperlink. So when I just click on it, let it take me to your this thing. Also, on the CV review, you might need to be sure. So you could scale out things that were small that you are not quite conversant with. Let the interviewer know that oh, you are a beginner in this
just
part
basic
and stuff
knowledge.
like that. So the person asking what could, that is create, read, update, delete. So that is on what's it called, on SQL. So please, thank you for having me, even though it was a short notice, but thanks a lot for having me,
Yeah, thank
and
you.
have a wonderful day ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, and let's have a wonderful day ahead. Expect more of this. Let's know in the mentorship channel on Slack if we should do this again next time. Maybe we should do for an intermediate level, or we should do for a senior level. Let's spice things up. So comment on the in the chat section on Slack. And yeah, I'll also drop the link to the recorded session straight from YouTube to you guys. All right, everyone, let's have a great day. Bye bye. Bye bye.